Welcome back, everyone. It's the Bourbon Judge. Hey, we're back at it. So I'm thrilled, honestly. Gosh, we myself and Mrs. Judge, we just got back from Kentucky, did a barrel pick. Huge shout out to my friends over at Starlight Distillery. Check out Andrew, who runs our single barrel program over at Starlight Distillery, as well as our partner over at Share Pour. We had a blast, honestly. So Starlight, if you have not been to Kentucky, cross over, go right over to Indiana and check out Starlight. But yeah, we did a barrel pick for our patrons, and we picked, honestly, an amazing barrel. So really fortunate and had a blast hanging out with all my patrons, Mrs. Judge, and just truly had some fun. Had some fun for sure. All right, so obviously did our barrel pick, and I went to my goal for this trip, other than my barrel pick, was to go to certain distilleries that I've never been to before, right? Which are not that many, actually, oddly enough, in Kentucky. And I've heard nothing but great things about this particular distillery. And let's just say, when I went there, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, the quality of the whiskey is flat out exceptional. So when you think about quality whiskey, everyone knows all the big brands, right? Everyone out there, we all know your Heaven Hill, your Buffalo Trace, your Jim Beam, your Michter's, and on and so forth, right? We all know those huge big brands. But I'm here to tell you, there is one distillery that is flying under the radar, and their quality of whiskey is probably some of the best whiskey on the market, pound for pound, drop for drop out there. But most people do not know about it unless you are just truly a whiskey enthusiast. So the next time you go to Kentucky, make sure you check out Glenn's Creek Distilling. Yes, Glenn's Creek Distilling. So Mrs. Judge and I, as well as one of my patrons, my good friend Paul Gutt, him and his wife Susie, the four of us did a tour over at Glenn's Creek Distillery or Distilling. And let's just say we had a blast. I mean, we had a blast. So I'm going to give you just a high-level overview about Glenn's Creek Distillery, right? So the owner, I'm going to go ahead and pour this to you, one of these at least. So the owner is a gentleman by the name of Dave Meyer. Dave is the owner, headmaster distiller, and so forth. So he created Glenn's Creek Distillery or Distilling on the exact same property as Old Crow Distillery. So you think of Old Crow Distillery or just Old Crow as a product. Obviously, those bottles do exist today, Old Crow, because that name is still owned by Jim Beam, so he couldn't call it Old Crow Distillery. Hence the reason why he named it Glenn's Creek Distilling. So Dave himself, Dave is a cool guy. His background, he's an engineer. I call Dave, he's kind of like a mad scientist in a way. He's like a mad scientist. So he's an engineer by trade, was an engineer for many years. Did the whole corporate America route like most of us out there. And after a while, a buddy of his challenged him to create a very small little pot still, right? Buddy of his challenged him. He created it just because he's an engineer, and Dave is just super unique and talented and can basically do pretty much everything. And so Dave found the property at the Old Crow Distillery, the property itself, and he brought it back to life. But of course, again, he couldn't use that name, so he created the name of Glenn's Creek Distillery, or Distilling. So he's been around now for about 10 years. What I love about Glenn's Creek Distilling, other than the whiskey, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, other than the whiskey, it is truly a rustic experience. So I'm going to be very crystal clear. In my humble opinion, I would not go to Glenn's Creek as your first tour. Do a tour other places, your Heaven Hills, your Michter's, your Buffalo Trace. Do all those tours first. And then when you really feel like you truly love whiskey, and I mean you are like a whiskey enthusiast, you want to know everything about whiskey, at that point, go to Glenn's Creek Distilling. It's truly a rustic experience, so don't walk in, think you're going to have like this huge, like a big, huge distillery, this restaurant, it's going to be beautiful, like a bar sound bourbon company. You're not getting that. What you are getting is a true, let's call it a journey into how to make whiskey, and also everything that just incorporates great whiskey itself. So Dave and his team, I should say, will teach you everything about the whiskey itself, their whiskey, their process, all their various different types that they have, which I have 3 of them here as well. It's truly, honestly, a bourbon nerd's tour. Yes, I said it crystal clear. You have to be a bourbon nerd if you want to go to Glens Creek, because it's such a unique experience. I nerded out, as my buddy Josh would say from Stuff and Whiskey. I nerded out big time, and I mean, I was like, I was in my heaven, honestly, at Glens Creek. It is such a cool atmosphere because you learn so much. And when I say cool from the standpoint of you learn a ton. I learned more at Glens Creek Distilling via my tour with Dave than I did probably the other 25, 30 tours I've ever taken in my life. That's how much I learned over at Glens Creek. So make sure you check it out. All right. So where is Glens Creek located, Judge? It's literally located like within 5 to 10 minutes, right next to like Woodford Reserve and Castle and Key. It's actually closer to Castle and Key. It's like not even a mile from Castle and Key, but just a couple miles from Woodford. So they're located very much kind of in the same vicinity. What I like about Glens Creek Distilling, other than their whiskey, which we're going to get to in a little bit, is the fact that, you know, they have obviously like their various different sub products. So I have a few here. I think Dave has about maybe like 8 or 10 different, like, you know, sub products. But this is like their OG, and they call this one OCD number 5. Where do you think the name OCD comes from? I mean, obviously it's Glens Creek Distilling, but they're on the Old Crow Distillery property, OCD. All right, I think we can put 2 and 2 together. So OCD number 5, this is like their bread and their butter, right? I mean, it's everything. This is their core product. This is another one called Cafe au Lait. And then this other one I have here is OCD number 5 Premium. This is kind of like their BTAC, if you will, of a product. But they have, I mean, all their product. What I love about them is that all their products are about 60 to 70, anywhere 50, 60, $70 for the most part, with the exception of like, obviously like their specialty highly allocated version, which is obviously a lot more expensive. But everything else they have, it's truly 50, 60, $70. So very reasonable from a price standpoint. I need to go ahead and get into this OCD number 5 because I'm smelling it from a distance and I'm like, oh my gosh. So Dave, oh, this is so good. One other cool thing about all of them, because they have like, he has his core products, this Cafe au Lait, OCD number 5. What's really unique is that each and every batch, they're obviously the same mash bill. Like this has a mash bill, this has a unique mash bill, and so forth, right? They all have their own unique mash bills, but each bottle that you'll get, they're all single barrels. So they're all single barrel. So like my OCD number 5 might taste slightly different than your OCD number 5. Now, obviously the same mash bill and so forth, but it is truly a single barrel because they are truly producing. They are a very small craft distillery. They're producing 1 barrel per day. Yes, you heard that right. 1 barrel per day. So truly just 1 barrel per day. And what I love about Dave and his team, they're using a pot still. So they're not using if you've been to like some of the other bigger distilleries, you've seen the huge column stills, right? Obviously with column stills, you can produce a ton of whiskey, but with a pot still, a little bit smaller environment, a little bit smaller setup as a whole. So Dave is creating just 1 barrel of whiskey per day. So that's that. Oh man. I have to get into this OCD number 5 before we go a little bit deeper into Glens Creek Distilling. Hey, real quick, 3 quick easy favors. Number 1, hit the like button. Number 2, drop me a comment. Let me know, have you been to Glens Creek Distilling before? If so, what are your thoughts? Last but not least, please make sure you also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you get notification each and every time I release new content. Cool? All right. Cheers. Wow. Oh my gosh. The quality of whiskey they are producing at Glens Creek Distilling, it's absolutely insane. It's truly insane. All right, I'm getting some more. I'm going back. Woo! Don't you love that sound? All right, so from a distribution standpoint, a lot of people are probably wondering, Judge, where can I find, you know, these OCD number 5 or Cafe au Lait, or just, you know, in general, where can I find Glens Creek Distilling products? For the most part, you have to go to either a local liquor store, actually obviously somewhere within the state of Kentucky, because they are a smaller craft distillery, their distribution is obviously very low, right? From the standpoint of, for the most part, you really have to go in the state of Kentucky to certain bigger stores like your Liquor Barns and places like that to find some of their products. But I will say the best experience, flat out, where you can find everything that they have, is going directly to the distillery. That's truly the best thing. And a bit of advice, honestly, their website is very user-friendly. Go directly to Glens Creek Distilling, like go directly online to their website, and you can honestly buy whatever products that you want directly on their website. And the cool thing about it is that they will hold them there for you in their vault. They will hold them there for you in their vault. There's no timetable. You can pick them up in 2 months or 2 years. They will hold the products for you. That's what I did. That's how I got these two. And then I bought another one when I was there, of course. But truly, they will hold the products for you there in the vault. And let me be crystal clear. As it says on their website, they do not ship. So don't get the idea of, oh, I'll go online, I'll order, and they'll ship it. No, no, no. You have to go and pick it up. But the good thing is there's no timetable, right? I ordered these bottles I think 3-4 months ago, and I just went this past weekend to pick it up. So no big deal from that standpoint at all. All right, I need another little sip of this OCD number 5. So honestly, when you think of just Glens Creek Distilling, because Dave and his team are producing one single barrel each and every day, it varies. Some days it's OCD number 5. Some days it's Cafe Olay rather. Some days it's one of the other ones that they produce. The cool thing about it is with their pot still technique, they're taking the time, the effort, and the patience with the quality of whiskey that they are producing. I heard from my good friends Trenton and Kurt over at SLB. I also heard from some of my patrons, my good friend Tom and Esther Newcomb. They were like, Judge, you need to try Glens Creek Distilling, and specifically any of their whiskey, but definitely their OG, OCD number 5. They're like, you're absolutely going to love it. And let's just say, folks, this whiskey is amazing. And if you're looking for the best thing out there in the whiskey market, you want to stop kind of chasing certain big brands, especially when you're out in Kentucky hunting, head over to Glens Creek Distilling, and you'll be you can thank me later. As I thank my friends, you can thank me later as well. Hey, until the next time, peace, cheers, most important, salute. Take care.